I think if we read in between the lines, whatever DGISPR said today, it seems to me, at least, that it was accepted or admitted that this thing only is not working. Kinetics only is not working. You must have sensed that he talked about good governance. He talked about the youth who are not happy with the Sardari system. He also talked about the levies, which the Sardars think that they are their private police. So all these things, if I put them together, I think there is some thinking going on to change not only the tactics or operational strategy as far as kinetics is concerned, also the political strategy and maybe the social and economic strategy. This is what I glean from all what has been said. So I think people like us, they were saying for a very long time that it is not a nail that you just you can do something with the hammer. I always said that it is not a job for a blacksmith. It is a job for a goldsmith. That you have to have go very intricate. You have to do very intricate things to actually get the things done. So I'm very hopeful that there is going to be a change, not only the kinetic way, but also the political and economic things which are happening there. I think because that thing was known to many governments in the past also, as far as economic deprivation is concerned. More important, in my opinion, was political deprivation. People thinking that their real representatives are not being allowed to come forward. So I think that has been sensed. This is what I think. And uh, also, you must have heard that he talked about the intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence agencies, which are behind all these activities. So again, that was one point which some of us were harping all the time, that you are only fighting with the front face of all this, the plan. The real perpetrators are somewhere behind, which are actually, pulling the strings of these puppets. So that also has been probably recognized, and something will be done in that area also. So I think now, from now onward, what I can glean from all that, that a multi-pronged strategy in real sense. First, we have been giving a lot of lip service that it requires a multi-pronged strategy. But now that he talked about the Sardari system, he talked about the youth, he talked about the levies, he talked about external intelligence agencies. So now I can feel that they have had a very comprehensive look, a review of everything. I think this was overdue for quite some time, at least 3 4 years, because we also felt that the youth is not very happy with the Sardari system, and Sardars were not happy with the youth who had got who had got educated in universities and have gone abroad or have been studying in universities all over the country. So this is, I think, the right time to strike and the right place to strike, in my opinion. You must have also noticed that he mentioned will of the people at least twice or thrice in his entire thing. So, which also gives me an indication that probably they have understood that putting selected people will not resolve the issue. Probably for local strong governments, this time they will try the actual representatives of the people. This is my hope, and this is what I pray. I think it has some risk, but there are tiers of hierarchy as far as the tribes are concerned in Balochistan, and the top tier is, I think, they have lost their value to a great extent. There are other tiers, second tier, third tier, smaller sardars, those who don't behave that blatantly as the bigger sardars, and they are more closer to the masses. Probably they will not abandon these leaders at smaller level. Maybe many of them will be actually, in local government, they will be heading those governments. That is my understanding, because I have served in Balochistan, and I know that as far the youth is concerned, they are more connected with the immediate leaders rather than the ones who are sitting on top at higher pedestals. So probably this thing must they must also be considering, and I hope they do understand what I'm saying. In my opinion, it is a mixture of the two. One, there are genuine grievances, and rather than dismissing them, I think we should get to know the facts on ground more clearly. Whereas he was right that a lot of good things are happening in Balochistan, and very few people mention those things. The more schools and universities have opened, more medical centers are working, more people are joining the forces, more people are getting jobs. So there are so many good things happening. But at the same time, just because the real representation of the people is not there, and then the local governments are not in place, the municipal functions are not there at all. So, as far as basic, primary education, primary health, primary justice, primary law and order, all these things are missing. So, let us hope that if they can really put up proper local governments with real leadership, many things will change. And this mixture which is going on, some falsehood and some truth, uh, probably truth then will prevail in a more potent manner. That is my view. As I said earlier, it is a mixture. I mean, whatever DGISPR is saying that needs to be verified on ground, I'm not really sure of it because you're right. Social media is portraying altogether a different picture. So the actual thing must be somewhere in between. But I do know that some of the mining projects are on track, and some good things are happening in Balochistan. Of course, the effect has not yet been felt by the public at large. The moment they start feeling that, probably things will change a lot, and that is only possible if proper representation of the people is allowed, and rather than lumping everyone who speaks against the institution or against the government, they should not all be lumped as anti-Pakistan or anti-army. They are only talking about the policies. Nobody can be against the armed forces. Everybody knows that, except for the armed forces, no one can defend this country. So I think we need to have a bigger heart, a more open mind, and things will improve. I think if the exceptions are made as far as the people are concerned, the youth are concerned, rather than again, as I said, grouping everyone with those people who have picked up the gun, they have to be fought. But the political face and the political activists which are now in prison or behind the bars, uh, they should not be very harsh as far as these persons are concerned. We must open communication with them. We must accept the political faces, and we must try to remove their grievances, political grievances, economic grievances. So we cannot really lump them all as anti-state or something. So if these exceptions are made, we will not talk, of course, to those who have picked up the guns and those who want to dictate things through force. We will only talk to them once they lay down their arms and come to terms. But then there's a large number of people who have been misguided, who have been misled because of misinformation, because of disinformation. You can't lump them all as anti-state, and you can't say that we will not talk to any one of them. We should be talking to most of them, and it will be only a small minority that we should say that we will not talk to them. I think there was a small indication once he talked about, we very openly said, he has said that earlier also, that we have nothing against the Afghan people. And if that is true, and it is true, I think we must apologize for what we said some time back. We said that Afghanistan is an enemy country. Now, that shouldn't have been said, and by a very responsible person. And secondly, that if this is not from now onward, we are at war with Afghanistan. No, we are not at war with Afghanistan. Afghan people are our brothers. We must open trade and commerce with them again. We must open all their routes. Yes, we are against the government. We are against TTP. TTP, we will fight. And my suggestion is that we should keep on fighting TTP, BLA, and all those people. But we should now open dialogue with the Afghan government also. It was but so because of some misunderstanding that we gave a lot of space and Indians came there and occupied that space. We've got to snatch that space back. And for that, we've got to cultivate good relations with Afghan people, other Afghan factions. Now there is some, sort of uneasiness also going on as far as Afghanistan is concerned. Some people are talking and they have taken up arms also against the, sitting regime. So instead of siding anyone, I would say that we should open dialogue with all who are amenable to talking to us, and we must be very, graceful and open as far as the people of Afghanistan is concerned. We must open all the trade routes because it is just harming both the sides, and we must ask our friends to help us to mend our relations with Afghanistan. These are my suggestions, and I found some indicators of change of heart there also. I think that is my opinion. Um, uh, that actual perpetrators are behind the Afghan government. Afghan government and TTP are the front face, as I said earlier, also. So Afghanistan should be taken as a place where these things are consolidating, these things are organized, and we should not equate Afghanistan and India as two sides of the same coin. As we earlier said something about, TTP and TT. Anyway, that is not our topic today. So I suggest that Afghanistan should be taken as a stage where the things are being organized and manipulated by India. And Afghanistan, we should not be against Afghanistan and we should not fight Afghanistan as we have to fight India. If this distinction can be made, because he was again and again trying to show two fingers as if these two are the same. I would suggest we need to move away from that and deal with Indians in a different way and deal with Afghans in a different way. I think if you look at all the things which have been said by Naqvi Saab and DGISPR, if we combine them, uh, I think there's a design in it. The first indicator is that they are telling the present setup that if you will not approve the 28th Amendment or whatever we want, things like Karachi to be a federal area and also Gwadar to be a federal area, smaller provinces, strong local governments, and I think all these things are in good faith. So they have actually told them that the best option for us is, and for everybody is, that you approve these, you go ahead as far as this amendment is concerned. But because parties are resisting that, especially smaller provinces and Karachi and Gwadar and things like that, so then that sentence, that will of the people, I think then they will go for referendum. If this thing doesn't work, they will go for referendum, and I am not very sure even once they go for referendum, they will bring in many things, including the review of the how the money is distributed within the federal federation and the provinces, and also smaller provinces, the strong local governments, and maybe presidential government, which you are indicating. So I think let us see what happens. If they go for referendum, of course it will be approved by the sitting government, and I think there are people in the government those who will approve it. If that happens, then some big changes will happen immediately within months. But if the present setup decides to continue with the establishment, then probably again the things will move in the same direction, but a bit slowly. But I think establishment will make sure that whatever they want to do for the good of the nation, that they will push their way through. That is my assessment. Whenever there's a challenge to the constitution, there's always a way to amend that constitution. After all, we are talking about the 28th Amendment as far as Pakistan's constitution is concerned. So why can't there be a change in the AK constitution? The only thing is the way the things are demanded. I think the problem is the first thing is that we are not getting the news what actually is happening within Azad Kashmir. So it will not be prudent for me to give my assessment that what actually is happening and what should be happening. But if you ask me personally, I am for the abolishment of those 12 seats, but through a proper constitutional procedure. I think if both sides can sit down and all this standoff can just melt down in a day or a few hours, if this side, the IJK government and the Pakistan government agrees that okay, we will talk about these 12 seats, we will not have we postpone the election as far as this time is concerned. Let the assembly meet and let us put the thing there, and we will try to make this amendment. Everything will become okay. That is my assessment. I think it is not only in Azad Kashmir, everywhere from day one, wherever was a dissent, the procedure, the way it was handled was not correct. It was, you can say, a kinetic way of handling things, whereas everything was political in nature. So after today's presser and whatever Naqvi Saab is saying, I think there's a change of heart. They have realized that political matters cannot be handled kinetically. So this is not only peculiar to Kashmir. This has happened everywhere. But to me, it seems that Kashmir situation has deteriorated very fast, and maybe it has overtaken all other situations that we were handling. And probably that is one of the reasons that this change of mind. You see, these two parties, they were combined, they were united because of a common threat, and that common threat was PTI. Now, another threat is emerging, and now both parties will try to show their willingness and show their sincerity rather than showing antagonism to that threat. And that is why you see this, diversification in their views. Both of them would like to show that we are more faithful than the other. So let us see what happens. But everything has been exposed. The system has been exposed. The unrepresented parties have been exposed, and ultimately, the real solution is coming. One, that we must have administrative and institutional reforms, and secondly, the will of the people must be honored and respected.